and welcome to Culture on I-24 News. I'm Oded Grober. Thank you so much for joining me. Today on our show, we'll talk about the film Leviathan, which is making waves in Russia. We'll take a look at how movies affect tourism. And we'll hear some new music releases from Modest Mouse and Run the Jewels. First, though, some cultural headlines. The Screen Actors Guild Awards were handed out this weekend in Los Angeles, honoring some of the year's best performances, both on TV and in film. Let's begin with the movies. No major surprises there this year. All of the Golden Globes drama winners took home the SAG Awards as well. Julianne Moore for Still Alice, Eddie Redmayne for The Theory of Everything, Patricia Arquette for Boyhood, and my personal favorite, J.K. Simmons for Whiplash, should all start working on their Oscar acceptance speeches, it seems. The award for Best Performance by a Cast in a Motion Picture was given to Alejandro González Iñárritu's Birdman, which also took home the major prize at the Producers Guild Awards just one night earlier. As far as TV is concerned, winners include Orange is the New Black, Downton Abbey, William H. Macy for Shameless, and Frances McDormand for the wonderful, wonderful Olive Kitteridge. If you haven't seen it yet, you should definitely go watch it as soon as you're done watching us. Now to Strange Magic, the animated film produced by none other than George Lucas, which has broken negative records in the box office. Bringing in only $5.5 million, the musical fairy tale now holds the record for worst opening of an animated movie in a wide release and the 7th worst opening for a film of any kind in a wide release. The film has been in the making for a few years now, but its existence had only become known with the release of its trailer last November. The film by veteran sound designer and first-time director Gary Rydstrom was passed on to Disney as part of the studio's purchase of Lucasfilm last year, but the studio did not get behind it and it received a very limited advertising campaign. George Lucas himself gave interviews to try and promote the film, but it turns out that didn't help. Now to Leviathan, the Russian film which won the Golden Globe for Best Foreign Film and is poised to take home the Oscar as well. The film is creating quite a controversy in Russia, even though it has not been released in theaters there just yet. To help us understand what all the fuss is about, we're joined in the studio by Haaretz reporter Tali Kruplik. Tali, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
So let's start by introducing the film a little bit about what's it all about.
The movie takes place in a small town in Russia, the northern part.
Far, far from Moscow.
Yes, and the protagonist is a simple man living there with his wife and son, a mechanic, and the trouble starts when the mayor of the town wants to take his house away.
Right. So there's no question that the film is a wonderful film. It's won Golden Globe, and it's nominated for the Oscar. And certainly might take that home as well. So, but there are still some voices against it in Russia. Who has issues with it?
Well, the Minister of Culture has major issues with it. We see criticism from all over the political map.
It's not taking on the current administration or someone specific, right? So what's the issue?
They're not mentioning the government, but the movie shows the corruption that just crushes the ordinary citizens in Russia, and shows a hopeless picture of how people can't really even live their life in peace, even when they're not trying to cause any controversy or criticize the government. And I think it resonates with people in Russia.
Right. Now, how come, it's only supposed to come out in February, but already a lot of people in Russia have already seen it?
Yes. The version
version.
A pirated version was leaked online last week, and there's already more than 1 million people who have downloaded it. Much more probably have seen it on streaming.
And how are the people seeing the film? I mean, okay, so the church and the government has some issues with it, but the people, do they see it favorably, or they're saying it gives Russia a bad rap?
Some people say that it gives Russia a bad rap and we should keep our dirty laundry inside. Let's not show everybody how bad it can get in those faraway towns. But others are saying that finally we can see ourselves on screen. We can see our troubles and not those of the citizens of Moscow or St. Petersburg. And they're saying that it's great. Even the citizens of this small town that was shown in the movie. It's
not portrayed very favorably, to say the least.
Yes.
So they can relate to the story.
Yes, they can relate to the story much more than other controversies caused by the opposition, for example.
So how is this going to play out? Is there a risk that it won't be screened?
There is a risk, and even if it does screen, maybe it will be only screened maybe in Moscow for the intellectuals.
But there is now a counter movement of people trying to make sure that people will watch it, right?
Yes, those who have seen it illegally are now saying that they want to support the movie, they want to make sure more people see it, and they're willing to sponsor, they're sending contributions to the creators of the movie, and they're willing to pay for tickets for.
Now, this could end up helping the film's race to the Oscar. I mean, if it's perceived as being persecuted, it won't hurt its chances.
Yes, it can definitely help, and I think maybe if it wins the Oscar, we'll see maybe even less criticism from the government because of the prestige that will.
Now, we should also note that it did receive support from the Russian Culture Ministry.
Yes.
Am I right?
It was financed by the Cultural Ministry, but after it got an award in Cannes, the minister actually said that they should reconsider and maybe not sponsor movies that are trashing Russia.
And you think it only happened then because that's when they actually took the time to watch it or read the script, or just because it got some awards and made some noise?
Yes, because of the noise, because people are seeing it. After it won the Golden Globe, that's where the major backlash started.
Yeah. Well, they still have one major hurdle to go over when the Oscars come. Thanks so much, Tali.
Thank you.
Still on the subject, Leviathan raises another question. How does a film influences the region in which it was shot? From Brazil to Russia, Daniel Campos has the story.
It's no secret that movies can have a massive impact on a country's image. Throughout the history of cinema, it has been spreading and shaping the image of countries, inspiring audiences to consider new choices of traveling destinations.
I'm going to pick a fight.
Well, the nation branding in a movie can be a blessing or a curse, and therefore many countries pay institutional attention to tourism and use movies as a kind of advertising and for defending their national image against traditional stereotypes from the outside. The outcome is hard to predict. One would assume that a romantic movie in an exotic location will promote more tourism than a horror film in that same location.
You okay?
What happened?
But examples prove that all cinematic genres play a role in promoting tourism. After the release of the historical drama movie Braveheart in 1995, visitors to the Wallace Monument in Scotland increased by 300%.
So let's go.
In the year 2000, the drama-adventure film The Beach, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, stimulated a 22% increase in youth tourism to Thailand.
I know what I must do, but I'm afraid to do it.
Although the exact figures are hard to prove, some experts have stated that since the year 2000, New Zealand has seen a 50% increase in arrivals due to the fantasy film The Lord of the Rings trilogy. The Hobbiton village still remains intact for tourists to visit. Since the year 2000, the horror story of an Australian outback serial killer set in the remote Wolf Creek meteorite crater has also done wonders for the place and its local tourism. People are calling it the Wolf Creek effect, but in some cases it's not always positive. After the release of the 2006 Hollywood horror film Turistas, Brazil feared losing tourists due to the film about backpackers who were kidnapped, drugged, and have their organs sold. It went so far that the tourist chiefs hired a PR firm to counter the reaction. Now at the center of controversy is the Oscar-nominated film Leviathan, the first Russian film to win a Golden Globe since War and Peace in 1969. The portrayal of a rural town in northern Russia with serious corruption issues has angered government officials and the Orthodox Church in the country. Made partly with money from Russia's culture ministry and yet to be released in the country, the film has been criticized by the culture minister himself and widely denounced as anti-Russian. Residents living in the village of Teriverka, where the film was largely shot, also have mixed reactions.
You understand that they simply found a beautiful location, Teriverka, and that is why, yes, really, there is such a tension around Teriverka. I don't know, I do not have the words.
But for some, the portrayal of corruption, poverty, alcoholism, and neglect in rural Russia are real.
I believe that in Teriverka, and not only Teriverka, in these types of settlements in Russia, life is worse. Life is even worse than it is in the movie.
Teriverka has never been a tourist location. The results of the Oscars on February the 22nd might change that.
We will see. In just a moment, we'll talk about some new music releases, but first, our cultural recommendation for the day.
Founded in 2013, during the year in which Marseille was chosen as the European capital of culture, the Biennale Circus Arts is the only event to have been continued since. Attention, ladies and gentlemen, the show begins in front of the museum where a tent village was built. During the entire month, 300 artists will perform in front of 100,000 spectators. The young and old will marvel at 260 performances in this third world premiere. Funny, unexpected, moving, fascinating. Hurry up and come to Marseille. The city becomes for a month the European capital of circus arts.
And now Shai Ringel is here in the studio to tell us about all the wonderful music that's coming out these days.
Yeah.
What are we starting with?
Let's talk about Modest Mouse.
Modest Mouse.
They'll have the sixth album in March 3rd. But until then, they are playing new songs, they're releasing new songs, and they have a new song called Coyote.
Let's listen to Coyote, and then you'll tell us some more.
Okay.
Walking with ghosts in the national parks, coyotes tiptoeing snow.
Oh.
Yeah, this video actually is based on a true story where in 2002 a coyote went into the light train in Portland and rode into the middle of the city.
Wow, that's kind of scary.
Yeah, that happened. So. And Modest Mouse.
This looks cuter than the real story.
Yeah, and it's kind of moving when you see the video because the coyote is dreaming about the wild, and then he finds himself in the middle of Portland, and Portland is kind of green and kind of cute. But
let's talk about the music for a second.
Yeah, Modest Mouse has been around from the 90s, and since like 2005 they became very successful. In the American success fame, but they haven't released an album since 2007. So a lot of people have been waiting for this album, and it sounds very Modest Mouse. It doesn't sound like any new revolution here,
right.
Which is the best thing for
that you can say about it.
Yeah, I really like their music. I really liked it when I was a teenager. So I'm really happy that doing the same thing.
Now, our next item is really something special.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about it because, okay, let's talk about Run the Jewels. Run the Jewels are a collaboration between LP and Killer Mike. They released the second album last year, Run the Jewels 2, and it was very successful, critically acclaimed. So they decided that they want to drop it and make the same album again, only with cat samples. Yeah, and they even have...
I think you have to say it again, because I'm not sure.
It's the same album, but with cat samples. There's a
with
teaser.
Like meows.
They released a teaser for it on their Instagram.
Yeah, so
we can watch.
You can find that for the teaser for Meow the Jewels.
Meow the Jewels, that's the name. They even have guests, like a cat guest, like
famous
Lil Bob.
cats.
Lil Bob is there.
Thank you so much, Shai.
Thank you.
That's it from us. Quite a bombshell to end on. We'll be back tomorrow, so please be sure to join us again.